From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Now, if you want to take a listen to our archives, guess what? We have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. On Instagram, you can follow us at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Now, Nicole Sakach takes the time to join us tonight on short notice, filling in for an ailing Samantha Mowat who accidentally ate seafood earlier today and just so happens to be allergic to it. So Samantha apologizes for not being able to make it tonight. We will get her back on the schedule soon. Nicole, though, is a very impressive person as well. A studious research assistant for the legendary Grant Cameron, Nicole, as an experiencer of UFOs herself, has dug in her heels and jumped full in on the hot-button disclosure documents like the Admiral Wilson files and helping sort through the late Stanton Friedman files and much more. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Nicole Sakach, not your first time here, but your first time all alone hanging out with us at Spaced Out Radio. How are you?
I'm doing well tonight, Dave. It's just like a fireside chat on my back porch.
Literally, you're on your back porch right now. I know you are.
I am. Sorry about the frogs.
Oh, that's all right. We love a little Mother Nature around here, so if the frogs want to ribbit their butts off, they can do that. It just adds for some ambiance, shall we say, as we look towards the sky tonight, looking for any extraterrestrial contact. How you been doing, Nicole?
I've been good. Working is, picking up through this COVID crisis. Ufology is also picking up through this COVID crisis as well. I know a lot of people are anxious, for things to calm down and some normalcy. So, school routines starting back up, at-home learning in progress. Fun times.
I got to ask you, because it's been a number of months now, what's it like to work for my hero, my mentor in this business, Grant Cameron?
I will refer back to a statement I've made before. It feels like you're constantly in a halftime show for a football game or between, what do they call them in hockey? I know you Canadians like to throw around hockey quotes. Innings? They're not innings.
How about periods? Can we go with periods?
Yeah, between periods. You know how they pump up the crowd and they do all those sports things. That's what this level of my research has brought me to with Grant Cameron. Just when I thought I was going to dig around in the lovely Stanton Friedman files and just have some boring reading work to do. Nope. You're on all sorts of other experiencer missions alongside Grant Cameron. So it's great. And with everything that's been in the headlines lately and the talks that are at the forefront of our community, it is just a humbling experience to be alongside of some of these people, or in the background even, like all these panels and the discussions. They're just really top notch, and I'm proud of this part of our community right now.
You know what? I want to stick with Grant for a couple of minutes here because you work with him closely. Grant has been one of my biggest supporters out there. And, I don't know if it's a Canadian thing. I don't know if it's just because he sits there and thinks, I feel sorry for this Canucks fan. and maybe I got to, take him under my wing. But Grant has gone above and beyond to help me in this field behind the scenes. And it's stuff that I could never, ever repay him. And I just absolutely love the man. And, I cannot say enough good words about who he is. Everybody knows him as the speed demon when it comes to talking about UFOs. When he gets on a roll, there's nobody better. But as a person, and you've got to know him as a person now, he is second to none as a human being, right?
I couldn't agree with you more on that statement. And honestly, this was something that took me aback with Grant, and the first few times I tried contacting him and getting a hold of him, he is this like mega figure
Where'd she go? Did the aliens get her already? Did the aliens get her? Right off the bat? Right off the bat, the aliens got Nicole. Right there. Holy cow. Holy cow. We're going to have to call her back here because
Mr. White,
her signal just went like complete. Did you hear that? That was kind of cool. And it can't be technology. There is no way it can be technology whatsoever. It's always aliens when it comes to that. Always aliens. Trying to get her back here. Nicole Sakach is our guest tonight. Yes. I don't know if we can hear her or not. There you are. There you are. How are you?
I'm back.
How was your alien trip there? How was your alien? Did you get abducted there? What happened? Because, it's never technology. It's always aliens.
Once you experience timelessness, these things just, you just kind of roll with them. It doesn't matter.
Well, it's real nice because now we're working on tomorrow night's show and, you're here for the round table. So, it all works out for us. So, yeah, it all works out. So how was your trip? Where did you go?
Well, I'd like to say it's been a long time since I've seen my roundtable buddies, so I'll say hi to them first. And wow, yeah, it was quite a strange trip. Here I am, still in my pajamas. Whoa, they're not on backwards tonight, but...
Perfect. So working with Grant, you were just discussing what it's like to work with Grant on a personal level and getting to know him.
Okay, and yes, I was. And, I went into getting a hold of him and first contacting him from this point of view that he was Mr. White House UFO. And the nuts and bolts side of Grant's work that I knew brief things about. I had never really dove into him. But then strange things started happening. Like I started asking around about him, like to people that I trusted and I valued their opinion. And I would get crazy answers from them. Like, oh, well, he used to be this and now he's this. And he talks about this crazy stuff and I don't understand which direction he's going. And as soon as I heard that, I think twice, I was like, now I have to figure out Grant Cameron and try to speak with him because these rabbit holes that his work has led him into have so many parallels with what I like to research and discover about in the type of ufology that I'm into. And it was just surprising to me. Like you have said, he has been, so supportive of you and the things that you do and the work that you work on. And that is something that I found out completely with Grant. It's like everybody that he interacts with, he finds some way to help or bring out their work and shine a spotlight on it. And it's just amazing. And to me, I wish more aspects of ufology and research had Grants in them. It's great to be a part of his team and follow him into these fringe topics of ufology. And if some people think that's crazy or, ultra woo, then I think that they're really missing out on a wide variety of ufology that is important to not only experiencers, but people who have been in this research game for a long time. You know, you know when things are kicked around and they become run-of-the-mill or mundane. And, you know, I like live ufology, and so much in research is just kind of dead ufology. So working with Grant is always an adventure.
Absolutely. The one thing I like about Grant, I should say I mean love, and we'll continue with the Grant Cameron love in here for a second because this is my show and I'm allowed, okay, is the fact that he doesn't close the door on anything. He always has the door open just in case new information comes out. And I can tell you this. I mean, some of the things that you think, and it happens all the time in ufology, where people will be like, well, there goes Grant again down one of those rabbit holes. And the next thing you know, he's right again. He's right again.
Exactly.
You know, and so, you know, like everybody was absolutely ripping him a new one when the Wilson files came out. Okay. And all of a sudden, now look at it. Grant is a friggin' hero. He took a lot of crap for that. A ton of unwarranted and unnecessary crap from researchers in the field to the public to those enthusiasts. And now they're like, oh, Grant was so right. I'm so glad that I followed Grant. You know what, Grant? Hold up that middle finger high. Hold up that middle finger high, my friend, because, you know, honestly, I mean, I don't think there's a guy who takes more crap yet is more right than Grant Cameron.
Well, the beauty of it all is that, yeah, there would be some kind of vindication there of holding up a middle finger, or at least laughing and, you know, maniacally and being like, ha, 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 I was right. But no, you know, that's another thing with Grant. He is so humble about the work that he does and, you know, trying to be as transparent in the work that he does as he can. And, yeah, you know, in moments like this where he could go, I'm right. No, he says things like, you know what, even though we don't like to talk about it, Greer was right. You know, and knowing these things behind the scenes, like that panel that we did, and knowing that Greer was invited to that first one and, you know, nicely declined, you know, because he had things going on. And these panels are often last minute. You know how tonight's last minute. You know how these things go. And so to just know that, you know, he's beyond his own ego with the work that he does, to include the anthology of players that have been involved over decades with stories like this. And, you know, that's why in the end, it's not just a story, that it comes out to be these little snippets of truth, because there's time and diligence and networking. And we all laugh, you know, like, oh, somebody's going to eat crow over this. Well, yeah, that is a lot of this field. You let your research take you places where you end up going, yep, I thought I had a handle on this topic, but I was completely wrong. Here's the crow sandwich. And people like to point those situations out too much. But we need to celebrate those moments, honestly, when we can go, oh, this stuff all makes sense now. And yes, Grant was right, and parts of Greer were right, and so-and-so else was right. And it's just a beautiful thing. Like, even the last panel, Linda Moulton Howe was invited to that. And, you know, it was a last-minute thing. Nobody knew that she was invited. Dolan was also invited and had to decline because of some other things. But that was all part of the comments. It's like, where's Linda? Where's Dolan? Where's this? It's like, you know, everybody was invited to the party. Not everybody can make it. But at least knowing that behind the scenes, there is like this camaraderie that happens. You know, it needs to happen more, and it needs to happen publicly. Everybody paints these pictures of, oh, so-and-so doesn't like so-and-so else. And, you know, that's just all the drama that makes garbage rabbit holes in this community instead of fun discovery rabbit holes. So,
well, I mean, Nicole, that's the big thing. So let's focus on you here. You know, when Grant first contacted you and said, "Hey, do you want to join the team?" You know, what did you think your role was going to be?
Well, Grant puts out these like APBs is how I look at it. And when he has these rabbit hole discussions, he was like the one we're in now with orbs. It's like people sending in orbs and rods and these, you know, massive collections of photos that they've taken and videos. You know, it was the same scenario with that. He put out like an APB wanting to know about experiencers that had flying dreams and out-of-body experiences. And there was a few other things. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. I was like, well, okay, I'll talk to Grant Cameron about this stuff. And then he ignored me for about a month. And then we started chatting about those few topics. And I think it was so silly. I mentioned something like, oh, the Stanton Friedman files. Wouldn't that be, you know, that's like a researcher's dream. Just sit there and dig through all this stuff. And he's like, oh, yeah, is that what you think? You want to? Here you go. Here's all the access. Blah, blah, blah. Help me with this. And next thing I know, I was like, holy cow, this is the best opportunity in the world. And all I want to do is focus on this. And now I'm running around doing almost anything except digging in Stanton Friedman's files. And it's wonderful. So,
well, I mean, the good part about it is he obviously trusts you in order to take on more responsibility because, you know, with Grant, I mean, the amount of research that he has coming in and out of his emails on a daily basis, we could only imagine. You kind of get a little bit of inside thought on that. But, I mean, to go from wanting to just start off researching the Stanton Friedman files, which we'll get into later, to now working on pretty much everything like his right-hand woman there, you know, I think it's absolutely incredible to see the job that you're doing along with people like Desta as well, Desta Barnaby, who is phenomenal. I know she travels all over the place with Grant as well. So, yeah, I mean, to be a part... Sinead
Willihan as well. Like Grant has this amazing network of people that help him all the time. And it's not only like these ladies like myself and Desta and Sinead, like, you know, he has a friend he calls the way back machine, you know, and that's somebody that he turns to and gathers information from because he knows this source has great information and they have an established friendship. Like, that's how these things start. And I think the opportunity to dig around in Stanton Friedman's files and that bit of the archive that Grant took photos of is just a way, for one, to get that information out and share it. But also it comes from my nuts and bolts background that I have in ufology as well. Of course, when you start researching this field, you develop the timeline for the history of events and cases and what makes the news and who the players are. And I think that's how this also spins off into the continuing work that I do with Grant or collaborate with to do interviews and videos and host these panels. But it's all of us have our kind of fortes, I think, you know, like the way back machine can find anything that's ever been put on the internet ever or in print from a magazine. And it's amazing. And
Nicole, what
is amazing with her work, and so is Sinead, but it's like we all have these different kind of pockets, and Grant brings that all together. You know, it's like these little splinter groups that he has all over the place somehow find it to the main conversation. And it's never one person. It takes a team in ufology. We all like to stand alone and, you know, do our own thing, but we have to collaborate to move the needle in conversations or in the community. So
what's the biggest lesson you've learned from Grant as we've got about 3.5 minutes to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour?
get ready to pluck those crows for crow sandwiches, because it's just, you're not messing around with frivolous thoughts and theories with any kind of research that you dive into with him. You're going, to the most world-renowned physical medium in the business. You're talking at that level. These aren't people that, are lifetime con men or scam artists or only writing a book, to give a very limited point of view. It's just things like that. And then just the experiencers, the amount of experiencers and feedback that he gets from honest people sharing their testimony and their accounts of what they go through and how they manage it.
That also comes with a lot of, discernment and critical thinking and critical skepticism that, the field of ufology has when you try and take things a little bit more woo, if we could use the word woo there.
Yeah.
But how do you handle that? How do you prepare for that?
You keep an open mind, and I think when you look at things from a broader scope perspective, instead of being pigeonholed into being an expert in this, little limited sliver of our community, I think keeping that open mind and following the data, and we all know the statistics, it's like that 5%. That might be the gold mine. Like, that's what you're searching for, and that's what you bring your skepticism into. It's not just to open the floodgates and entertain every woo idea. It's, no, chase down these ones that have been nagging since the beginning of time, kind of woo.
Well,
and yeah.
I realize that, but as we got about 30 seconds, there's a lot of people out there who love to criticize before actually doing the research.
Well, I think they're letting themselves down, that you can't just, I like saying this because it floats across a lot of fields. You can't just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk with this. And if you can't do it personally, you have to go to the source of people that are putting their heart and soul into this and apply it to your work and your research and your healthy skepticism. That's the beauty of it.
Absolutely.
You're going to find out you're wrong on a lot of things.
Absolutely. Nicole Sakach is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue on. We're going to get into the Wilson Files, UFOs, and so much more with Nicole coming on up on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month, and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you taking the time. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, has a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Tonight we are talking with Nicole Sakach. We are talking UFOs, research, everything that goes on behind the scenes, as she is one of Grant Cameron's lovely assistants in trying to dig up anything UFO, and it doesn't matter how dark and dirty it may be. Nicole is out to find it. Nicole, welcome back.
Hello. Nice to be back.
Hello.
Hello, radio. Hello.
Hi, radio. Hi, radio. That's what we do around here. Nicole, let's focus in here on a topic that has been very, very hot recently over the last number of months, probably the last year and a bit, where these Wilson files. Now, this is where Admiral Wilson, who used to be, I believe, assistant to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, allegedly had a conversation in Las Vegas with a scientist named Dr. Eric Davis, who, in their one-on-one conversation, talked about what is actually being hidden in ufology around the United States. Now, Admiral Wilson has since, over the last few weeks, come out and heavily denied all of this, as he should and would, and you would expect. When did you first learn about these files?
The actual files was after the Reddit grab, after they were dropped on Reddit, and the chatter of what are these things, and then naturally with just working with Grant and discussing, the anthology of these, then I think it was shortly after that, which has been pointed out. And like I joked earlier, the first time we heard about this was Greer. Greer talked about this. He laid it all out, and it was a snidbit. And here we are years later, through the diligence of research and time and giving it time, these documents have come out. And they've come out in a legitimate way, different from other documents that keep getting thrown into this conversation. And I get frustrated over the Eric Davis talk, because a lot of times in this community, we get exactly what we ask for. We want people like Eric Davis doing what he did and how he did it. And we want people like James Rigney and Grant Cameron and Richard Dolan keeping these snidbits of information and working these stories and letting them come out. And that's the process we've seen. And here we are weeks later, and Eric Davis not only did a brilliant job with note-taking, a snidbit of a conversation for NIDS and his bosses, but here, the Times is reporting that he's talking to congressmen and giving briefings on these items that they have or that they want to work with, or the work that has been done on them over the last decade. And just little snidbits like that, you can't deny if it's important to the community or not. Yes, it is important to not just the community, but the world at large. And we all hate talking politics in ufology, in such a broad base, but this is exactly the type of politics that affects ufology. And it's not just in this sub-community that we're all in. It's in the world at large. It's how our government operates, not just ours, but other governments operate in this fashion as well concerning this issue and those like it. So I say bravo to this whole process. And yeah, we never quite get what we ask for in ufology, but when we have moments like this, we can't scoff at it and go, oh, it's just a repeat of this in the past, or this, document how it came out before. The playbook has changed. This climate for this conversation is now in modern times. It's not set in the Condon report and that committee and the farce that we all know that it's turned out to be. We know that was a farce. We can't let this situation turn into the same thing. We have too many players behind the scenes involved with making sure that this situation is different. And I don't like to just rattle off all the names because they're just names. I don't refer to them professionally. I don't give their title with who I'm talking about. It's like I said, I just like to have a conversation. But, it's amazing to me. Like, look at the work John Podesta has done behind the scenes over the last 20 years. Look at the work that Reed has done. I don't care about their politics. Look at what Mellon has done with the Nimitz videos. I don't care what their politics are. I care what they're doing with this information that I care about.
No, and that's very true, Nicole, is there are a lot of powerful people working on this. But getting back to the Wilson files here, for most people out there, they do not understand the significance of these documents. They think, well, it's just another no proof type of information of somebody taking somebody's word for it. Yet the people who are very intrigued by this miss out on the names that are dropped, on the names that are used, the profession of these people where, they are holding some sort of respectability and credibility. So can you explain to the audience as to why these documents in today's ufology are very, very important?
Well, I will point out what I just briefly mentioned before. We have the providence for how these documents came out. They're not falsified. They're not open for interpretation of the source, and that honestly, it's apparent. And I don't like to roll my eyes in ufology often, but if people are if their argument is, we've seen this before, I just have to stand back and wait to see how it shakes out. No, you can't just stand back from this. If you don't know something, or if something is unclear to you about this situation, then you haven't done your research and your homework enough. And it's time to do your research and your homework. If you're going to complain that the names involved in this aspect of the Wilson documents, to me, naturally, when you start talking Eric Davis, then of course you're talking Hal Puthoff and Edgar Mitchell, NIDS, these kind of things. If you don't know what people are referencing with these people, then it's homework time. Go back, collaborate with other researchers, kick up this information yourself, find out who the Avery is. Don't listen to the hearsay. Find out for yourself. Read it for yourself. Judge it all for yourself. Compare and contrast to what happened then to what's happening now. And to me, it's just, maybe it's the experiencer side of me that shines through with this. To me, it's just kind of apparent. You can't argue these points.
And that's
there.
The hard part. That's the hard part, though, is everybody has a slim opinion, and they're relying on places like Twitter and Facebook and other social media sites to let everybody else give their opinion rather than gathering information. There are actually very few people who are gathering information. The more so are gathering opinion. and they're supporting people who share that same opinion. They're supporting people who are researching only one side of this caveat. They're not looking at the other side. Right. That's kind of what is dangerous about this field, and this is how stories get mixed up. This is how online wars and war of words start, and we see it literally, unfortunately, every day in this field. So with the Wilson documents being as polarizing as they are, why do you believe they are true? Why do you believe they're real?
It's the perfect storm situation. It's knowing these players. I call them players. Knowing these people involved in this work and the anthology of their work in and out of ufology. We like to drag them into ufology, but they're not. They're not in ufology. They're doing what they do, and we drag it into our community and try to figure it out. That's how I like to look at these guys. They're fighting their own fight with this to try to figure out how it is. And whether or not you want to believe all the information that part of these people are trying to get out, it's open to interpretation. You have to find out for yourself by doing research into these people. And you can't just trust the clickbait conversations of, I don't like this person because of that. I don't like this. That's all drama that you got to be beyond. Like, what can I say? The perfect storm of these notes coinciding with the behind the scenes people that I mentioned before, whether they're involved in ATIP or involved in factions of government, we have to pay attention to the playbook that they're working with now. And for every person that is trying to get out information and push these stories, there is the opposite of people that don't want this talked about, that have feuds with these people on a personal level and bring it into what the public domain is arguing about. And it's weird to research and see this anthology of how these people treat each other and how they talk about each other, even on social media. And I don't know. I am a networker of people, and I like to laugh and say I'm a bridge builder. It's like I don't like seeing people drag people's wives into conversation. And so you're privy to sort of these things when you follow these people and not necessarily listen to them, but follow them. And that what they're doing is righteous from their point of view. I think the way Eric Davis has been open and talking about this with sources like Joe Merja, yes, I think that's great. I think people that have banded behind Eric Davis and speak to his character, of the type of work that he does and how diligent he is with his research and how he is with people that he interacts with. That says a lot to me. It makes me feel like it's somebody I can believe. And I know we don't like to fall back on our feelings here in this field, but maybe that's a part of me that doesn't care. I'm a chef. I'm from Illinois. I'm not going to get fired from my job for talking about my experiences. I don't have to justify a research point of view because I have a book on the market or I write articles. I don't do that. I talk and I learn about history, and if you follow the people and follow the stories, you can spot the wins for your community. And that's what I think the Wilson documents are. They're a win for this community. We're talking about it, and the public, and not just.
Go ahead. By fault.
I was going to say we're. It's a rare moment when the general population is talking about ufology, and we're scoffing at it like it's not enough. And I don't like that. This is one of those topics that we all rally behind until the mutilated cows come home.
Wow.
Nice
analogy. But okay, so that opens up a couple of questions here, okay? Very important questions. and one of those would be, why do you think ufology in general, or the people involved in it or have an interest in it, absolutely refute anybody who comes out with any sort of information? I mean, it almost sounds backwards. That's one of the things that I have been looking into, and I'll get your opinion. I'll give you mine.
I think in the online world of ufology, people argue just for the sake of arguing 90% of the time. And I think it's maybe just from that online side effect of being heard, or not having to get an eyebrow raised from somebody, like when you see their face, like, did you really say that? Or, it's such a subtext of how ufology really is when you interact with people in the actual community, whether it's in a group or it's your pack of friends that, might not like ufology, but they ghost hunt or hunt for Sasquatch. It's like, it's camaraderie of people and experiencers and sorting it out. And I think experiencers hide in research, and they try to hide from this pure scientific point of view. But then on the inside, they really have to trust their experiencer side, because they know, and I don't like to hide behind, I know what I saw and I have it all figured out. But you get these glimmers as an experiencer to where you're like, yeah, I kind of have I know this is the right track, and everything else is going to catch up eventually.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is, I see it in our audience. Do you believe it's very much frustration in the world of ufology, or people who follow this because they've heard the lies, they've heard the deception before? Now that we're in a multimedia type of society, they expect more with photos and proof. I mean, you can only argue so much, Nicole, about where the proof is, because we're at a point in time where this community has had the wool pulled over their eyes so many times that they're done with it. They want to see those documents. They want to see they're not even accepting photographs or videos anymore. They want to know what proof is. But the question is, what is proof? That's what it comes down to. What is proof? Because your type of proof is different than my type of proof, which is different from each audience member's type of proof. I don't mind taking somebody at their face value. Other people will not.
Exactly. And I think that is one of the modern mysteries with the phenomenon. This is what I will say to the community at large about how they react to topics. It's like, before every post anybody makes, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, social media, or everything, I think you almost need to declare yourself of where your stance is with ufology. Either you're nuts and bolts, extraterrestrial theory, or you're beyond that. And you encompass the spirituality side of diving into these experiencer rabbit holes. And I mean across the board experiencers, not just what we label as a UFO experience. Because when you move beyond the Heineck way of thinking, and I love Dr. Hynek, please don't get me wrong, and his anthology of work is amazing. None of us scoff at that. But we get in these online arguments with people that come from that realm and argue with people that are followers of Jacques Vallée or followers of Grant Cameron exploring the woo, or trying to put these puzzle pieces together. And what I will say is, it's up to us in the community, and not just those of us blabbing on shows like this. You have to become involved in ufology. You can't just leave it to the history books. And if you do, you have to take it upon yourself that if you're going to join the conversation from your perspective, you might have to back it up with a little bit of that education side of where you're coming from. You know, if you're talking the phenomenon and how it relates to the paranormal, and you're in a group that understands the theories at play with Jacques Vallée, or even, you know, I'll say more aloof people like Jack Sarfati, or our time-traveling theorists like Diane Tesseman. You know, when you follow these people around and realize that they're not just speaking from a nuts and bolts world, they are speaking from a more metaphysical, spiritual, this is encompassing more than just a ship visiting from somewhere. Then people just new to the ufology community don't realize that these factions are at play or these different theories are at work. They're gathering information. They're reading best-selling books. They're listening to the bloggers that have a perspective. It's a single point of view. You have to be active enough in what you're interested in to find out things for yourself.
Okay.
To relate, especially if you're an experiencer, you have to try to close the loop.
Okay, we got under a minute here to go. Do you believe then that there is still some sort of disinformation campaign to throw darts at the UFO community?
Yes, I do. But I think it's at this higher level of interpretation that comes out from the people behind the scenes. It's not necessarily your average researcher going, oh, I'm just going to spew out some garbage and see who listens to me. I think it comes from a level of the professional. You know, we all know there's professional disinformation artists in this business. It's not necessarily in the community at large. It's from what we study and what we're trying to figure out. So,
okay, Nicole, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break at the top of the hour. When we come back with Nicole Sakach, we're going to look into whether or not there is a disinformation campaign. Is there a narrative being run, and why is this going on? Can't we just learn about UFOs? Can't we just have fun? Can't we just, you know, talk jump rooms and aliens and little green beings, according to Harry Reid, the former Nevada senator? More with Nicole Sakach in hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio coming up next.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the story you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today. Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio underway tonight. I'm the guy in front. Am I in front or behind the microphone? I don't know. One of the two. I'm Dave Scott here hosting this show. Welcome back, everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Mukivorus? Or Musivorus. Musivorus. Let's try that. Musivorus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Nicole Sakach is with us tonight on the show. We're talking UFOs, and right before the break, I asked her about disinformation. Is there a disinformation campaign still going on in the field of ufology? Nicole is a research assistant, Grant Cameron. She has been on this show before. She is an experiencer as well. Nicole, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. Glad to be back.
All right, let's get into the whole disinformation campaign. I don't know personally whether or not it's disinformation, but I will say this. I do believe there is a narrative that is being played along with the threat level. We hear the word threat a lot around here in the field of UFOs. Is it a narrative or is there disinformation going on?
I think in the current climate, I think it's a narrative. And I don't think it's a blatant disinformation machine in process right now. I think there are too many spotlights on the situation to make sure that it's not a disinformation campaign being spewed from a direct source or a direct source of a source. And I think we hang people out to dry a lot in this community based on our own little pockets of information that we follow ourselves. This isn't an arena where one person can figure out everything. This isn't the arena that one person alone can spew all the secrets and give us all the answers. There's not one person. We do know that there's agents at play in this community, or there have been in the past. And, there's those of us that assume, in situations like that they don't quit their jobs. They're still doing their part. They're doing their role. But there's still a cog in this machine. There's still value to listening to what they have to say, whether you believe it all or not. And I think where we get locked into thinking that there's, an active push for disinformation is I think it's a conspiracy spun out of, like you mentioned, the people at play in this getting out information and getting out solid work understand that you can spin a narrative, that you can guide a conversation, that you can here, I'll give a restaurant reference, from my day job. Like, I have servers running around my restaurant that give the Sullivan nod to every single table. If you don't know what the Sullivan nod is, just Google it real quick. It's like a subliminal body language head nod where you say, yes, would you like an appetizer today? And you just subtly shake your head yes. That table 9 out of 10 times is going to go, yes, I would like an appetizer. We see this play in advertising. We see it in our politics. We see it in the Twitter blurbs. This is the art. There is an art form to this. People spin narratives. Ufology is no different. It's up to us to contribute to that narrative, though. We have to educate ourselves and educate others to the bigger picture narrative. And if we don't like what's being said, then it's up to us to change that narrative or to guide it in another direction.
But that's the scary part for a lot of people. Okay, is we don't know what the truth is. I mean, going back through time, as you said, there's been change of narratives. Going back to Roswell when it was a UFO crash, and then all of a sudden it was a hot air balloon that was secret. Okay, no ever mention of the San Augustine crash that Stanton Friedman had looked into and believed had happened. Okay, we look at, even if we fast forward to within the last year and a half, the Pentagon first said, yes, they've been investigating UFOs for a number of years. Then this past December changed that tune and said, I don't know what you're talking about. This was Susan Goff who stated this. And now all of a sudden they're back on the UFO game, right? The FBI talking about Sasquatch out of nowhere last year, that they investigated Sasquatch cases. Where did that come from? After years of never saying a thing. Okay, so we'd see it happening. Then there's stories, whether or not you want to believe somebody like Richard Doty, the former U.S. spy who was an open disinformation agent about the UFO field to try and screw people up, eventually led to the death of a gentleman named Paul Benowitz. All right, there's a number of times that this has been played out, and now the key word to everything is threat. And recently, you did an interview with Melinda Leslie alongside Grant Cameron, where she talked to one of the players in this field from the To the Stars Academy, Jim Semivan, who stated 4 times that there is no threat. So what is the story? We hear the word threat. Marco Rubio says threat. The To the Stars Academy says threat. Tom DeLonge, that is, believes that all aliens are evil demons coming down and we need to put nuclear weapons in space to blow them out of the sky. All right? Like, if I'm an alien, I'm not worried about a nuclear weapon. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried at all. So, I mean, we have all of this stuff going on, and the public is eating it up. They are eating it up because we are so used to breaking narratives down to hear only what we want to hear, that the truth, even though it's lying right there, has no ability to be seen by anybody.
You're right. It is right in front of our faces. And I think those of us in the community are so close to it sometimes that we can't see, to spite the nose on our face. And that's when, like you referenced my talk with Melinda and, her conversations with Mr. Semivan. And yeah, I think that is important when people like Semivan come out and explain that point of view of a narrative, saying that To the Stars does not believe what they are looking into is a threat. And then when they follow that up, when you hear chatter of this is how government runs. This is how these programs operate. This is how, behind the scenes, you line up these dominoes so you can watch them fall. You know, this isn't a process that happens I know the documents and the articles over the last few weeks, everything is moving quickly, but these times have been in motion for 20 years, you know, and it's easy to hide behind the conspiracy talk in this community and point fingers of this person shady, that person shady. No, you have to step back from that. It's not conspiracy based on we want to put out bad information. It's conspiracy based on compartmentalization and not having the ability to share and access this information. And if you want to look at it as threat talk, and we hear the military perspective on it, because that's who has stepped forward up to the plate and is trying to take a swing at this. Of course, they're going to swing at it from the perspective of the military-industrial complex, which is something we were warned about by Eisenhower decades and decades and decades ago. You know, we talked about Grant being able to hold up the middle finger. Don't you think Eisenhower's going, see, you guys, this is exactly what I was talking about. It was going to be a problem. And here it is. It's a problem. And now it's under legislation. And we have people doing their diligence from their role that they're playing. A senator, a few senators, you know, I'll say the names again, Christopher Mellon, even Elizondo and DeLong, they're all doing their parts. You know, we don't have to agree with everything that they're doing. And if you don't agree with it, then join the race somehow, contribute to the cause, you know, throw your hat in the ring.
That's the tough part about it is, you know, we have so many people. Let's talk about the narrative for a second here. We have so many people who are now involved in research. There's a bunch of young guys called the Young Guns out there who are doing some incredible work. We have the old school researchers like Grant, like Richard Dolan, like Melinda Leslie, who are out there banging on doors using their sources for great information. They still got it. Okay, then we got the non-UFO crowd, like the TTSA, who is really stepping up and pushing things to a whole different limit here, a whole different limit. And when we take all of this and we put it all together, it makes me wonder where this narrative is going. Why? What's the purpose of it? Okay, example, To the Stars Academy only goes on certain shows. They will not come on this show unless you provide questions for them ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Or I look at people who have never had a voice in this field before, breaking major stories, and they've come out of nowhere. A good one example of that, and all credit to him, is Danny Silva from the Silver Record. Is a blog site that is he's gone from TTSA fanboy to a legitimate player in this field for knowledge in like 18 months. Where did he come from? Now, trust me, I like Danny. Danny's a good friend. We run his articles on our SOR Newswire. Okay, and Danny works hard for that. But just out of the blue, all of a sudden, all of these big names trust him. Okay? You look at the media. If it isn't Nick Pope, Chris Mellon, or Lou Elizondo, or David Fravor, who's interviewed? Nobody.
Well, I think that speaks to I'll be blunt. There's a lot of talk when you're in Facebook groups or online communities, especially when you're an admin or a moderator. You can't argue all the time with people. You can't expect to change a mindset. You can listen to people and make sure that they're respectful of each other. And that's kind of where I fall in this category with young guns and people seeming to like crawl out of the woodwork, or I think I call them young bucks instead of young guns because, guns are bad. But, I started paying attention to Danny Silva, I think close to 2 years ago. And I was like, who's this guy saying this stuff? And, oh, that's great. He's got TTSA covered. I don't have to cover TTSA because he's on it. And so, I admire people like that. I think I look at some of these young guns and you see that they are about their work and what they're researching, and this little caveat that they are pouring their heart and soul into. And it's even better when you get to know these guys and you realize like the ego is off somewhere else, that it really is just them and their curiosity and their diligence to stay on top of these stories and talk about it and get conversations going. Because it is one thing we hear from people in this upper echelon of the community, like Nick Pope. And yeah, it's great. It's like he has a following where it's like, Nick Pope has been so solid over the years, who he collaborates with, what he talks about, what he brings to the table. Yes, we're going to pay attention to him. Now, the general public at large, that's what's frightening about the news coverage right now. Like you said, there's so many people that are just left off the discussion panel or not being asked to CNN or Fox News or all of these things. But behind the scenes, we get excited. We hear who the newspapers are talking to and who they're going to, vetting out these stories and sources. And like, I'll bring up Cheryl Costa. She posted yesterday that the Wall Street Journal interviewed her on her data and her work that she does. And holy cows, yes. Isn't that exciting? Yes, let's hear what Cheryl Costa's body of work has to say to the world. When I saw that, it felt like a breath of fresh air that finally a different voice was going to be in a major publication. Exactly. It's a respected voice. Yes. She's had a career that's, pitted with, the needed breaks that we all need to take in this community. But every time Cheryl and her wife, Linda, have kind of stepped back from ufology a little bit, it's like everybody goes, oh, my God, where'd they go? What are they going to do? They need a break. Take your time, But then you realize that they're not taking a break. They are so involved with other aspects that, fall outside of that nuts and bolts data that they do. Like, this lady started for lack of a better word, and I don't want to be insulting, it's not a church, but it's a church. And she empowers members to explore this woo side as well. But then, she's painted into this corner of, she's just this nuts and bolts data collector of, information from sightings. And no, it's just beyond that. But that alone, to know that she has decades of reports, and not the ones that just wash out, but solid reports of every state in the United States, almost every single county, I think. That blows me away. Her anthology of work is almost predictive at this point in time. It's like my Skywatcher friends. It's all like, well, let's talk to Cheryl. Maybe she'll tell us what county during this time of year we should watch in, and it's almost to that degree where it's like, oh, yeah, go here between these weeks and I bet you get some action. I love that. You can apply that data to your own research. Read her books.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But let's get back to the threat narrative, as we only have about 3.5 minutes to go here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Our guest, Nicole Sakach. Is there a threat, in your opinion, of UFOs visiting Earth?
I think the threat is in undereducation, not from what's visiting or how they're visiting us. The threat is from us. It's not from them.
Okay, so why do you think the threat is not from them when that's all we're hearing?
I think that's all you're hearing from the big mouths. I think when you do your diligence, and, people like William Poland, the historian, he could rattle off several cases of UFO interactions with military bases and tell you which ones they were and how, what is it about it that makes it threatening, that they shut down our nukes? It's things like that. Those are what's the threat scenario? You hear testimony from pilots in the air, and they're like, I was told to engage, and I don't want to engage. And it's like I was overwhelmed with, why didn't I try to communicate in a non-hostile way with this thing before it disappeared? You hear from experiencers the fear factor side of it, but then you also hear their anthology change into it was their own fear of the situation, not what was happening. And I think that's where this threat talk in the general public is scary, because yes, obviously we come from that militarized way of thinking of, we don't know what this is it somebody else's, can it hurt us, will it hurt us, is the other shoe going to drop? Is it like all the movies where they're evil alien eaters, or they're siphoning us for a soul or a demon anthology? Or you hear all this crazy sounding talk. But when you listen to your run-of-the-mill average citizen experiencer that has lived with their experience for decades, which is what we can talk about shortly, an interview I have coming up to talk about Witness to Another World with Alan Stivelman. That's what's going on the 8th. And to hear this story of this experiencer and to know that it's the same for so many people out there that don't have a public voice in what they're talking about. It's just amazing. And that's what I think is lost in our public conversation right now. We're all worried with the lingo that is happening in this conversation, the threat talk. When you listen to people that truly try to understand the phenomenon, they are saying it isn't a threat. Say the lingo if you want, use it however you need to get the job done. We need to get over this part of ufology so we can start dealing with the people who are actually interacting with this phenomenon, not just in a blinking, it's here, and blinking, it's gone point of view. So,
Nicole, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because I think you're heading down an important road here on Spaced Out Radio. Nicole Sakach, UFO Talk, threats, narratives, disclosure. We're going to hit it all yet on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Welcome back as we pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting on the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you tuning us in. Reminder that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with our interview tonight with Nicole Sakach. She is a UFO researcher. She's an experiencer. She's a research assistant for the legendary Grant Cameron. And we're talking about narratives. We're talking about disclosure. We're talking about people in general, the way they are affected by this field of UFOs right now. Nicole, earlier this, or late last week, or earlier this week, one of the two, there was a follow-up to the New York Times article, which had some pretty hefty quotes in there. And the story from Pulitzer Prize winner Ralph Blumenthal and freelance journalist Leslie Kean was, we shouldn't be investigating UFOs. The gist of the story is that we don't know if they're real. We have to stop thinking that they're real until science proves that they're real. We can't take anything at heart. It's all about the science. It's all about the government. It's all about this. It's all about that. But the people who are experiencing this, no, we shouldn't believe in it. Stop wasting your time. That's the attitude I got out of it. Many others may have something different, but that was my translation. When you saw that article where they basically said, you know, UFOs aren't real, even though they're still writing about UFOs, or pardon me, UAPs, what was your thoughts?
Ooh, that's kind of loaded, because I had a couple different first thoughts on reading that. And I didn't get the impression that you had. I kind of looked at, I was like, ooh, they're using that lingo that can be played with on, you know, spun this way or that way. And I think to people coming into it and reading these articles from these journalists for the first time, not knowing their previous work and what they've devoted to this community, I think, yeah, there's a face value effect to what they wrote. And it's also, I looked at it as them kind of standing their ground. Like, when you do know their background of work and their interest in this community and these topics, then you really see like their diligence and their ferocity in what they're investigating. And
okay, hold on a second. I'm going to read this. Nicole, I want to read this from the article. Okay, so people have an understanding of what we're talking about. The title of the article was, do we believe in UFOs? That's the wrong question. So right near the top, second or third paragraph, maybe fourth, they write, that's where they write, we're often asked by well-meaning associates and readers, do you believe in UFOs? The question sets us aback as being inappropriately personal. Times reporters are particularly averse to revealing opinions that could imply possible reporting bias, which is standard journalism. But in this case, we have no problem responding, no, we do not believe in UFOs. As we see it, their existence or non-existence is not a matter of belief. And then they go into some quote from Margaret Mead, trying to personify what they were saying. And then they go on to say that's what the Pentagon UFO program has been focusing on, making it eminently newsworthy. And to be clear, UFOs don't mean aliens. Unidentified means we don't know what they are, only that they demonstrate capabilities that do not appear to be possible through currently available technology. Now, it's responsible journalism, I will say that, because what they're doing is they're saying, look, we're just reporting the facts.
Right.
But it comes across as a tone, in my opinion, and that's just reading the words, okay, It comes across as a tone of that they're almost scolding people for believing in the phenomena from what they've seen, just because the majority of the population, or in this case, the mainstream population who they are catering to, not the UFO community, that they are almost scolding the people for, trying to connect everything together. All right? It's just like this silly argument that we're not allowed to talk UFOs and aliens together as well.
Right.
Because they're two separate subjects. Go ahead.
I go a little, I'll chuckle. This is a little, how does Grant put it? This is the left brain inhibitor trying to come into what the right brain already knows and trying to shut it down. Yes, all that we can scientifically say from that perspective on the phenomenon is laid out. And I looked at what you just read, minus the Mead quote, which I enjoyed, actually. It was kind of like a chuckle to me. I looked at that as a brilliant play on words that journalism should be doing. Because I looked at it almost, it's like what we hate declaring as an experiencer. We hate saying, especially to the nuts and bolts crowd, we hate saying, I know what I saw. We hate saying that, and we hate that being a part of our defense. I read their words as, we don't have to believe because we know. We know based on our research. And I thought the Mead quote was kind of a nod to that. We know that it's beyond the ET nuts and bolts. And then I back up my point of view with that, in my opinion, on that. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody is talking about the fact that through this past few weeks, Leslie Blumenthal did this awesome interview about this research into physical mediumship that she's doing. What light did that ding for me? It was like, aha. And there's also these word plays in the narrative. And this is what I mean. It's like you have to declare your perspective as either extraterrestrial or beyond just extraterrestrial. And that's where I think their word magic comes into play as well. Look at what else they research and what other stories they are digging into and that they're talking to podcasters about or giving interviews on. And it's impressive. They're ahead of the general population with the information that they're giving out. We know that in the community. That's why we're disappointed. That's why we're disappointed on the public grandstand that it's not more. We know that there's more out there. And the science that we have to stand on, we also know falls short. The science at play in our community falls short across the board. And part of it is what we have to work with right now and who's active bringing their expertise in these fields to our community. That's part of it. That pool is small. Our pal Bob McGuire's trying to change that. And we fully support his efforts. Who doesn't? Why wouldn't they? That's one of those moments. And these things that play in the narrative from who I consider heavy hitters, come on. We're really going to complain about the great work that Ralph and Leslie are doing? No, they're champions of our field right now. Like, stop it and just listen to them. Do your research on them. Understand that they have to do things a certain way. Understand that they're trying and will keep continuing to connect these dots for everybody. listen to the people in our field that bring their brilliance into it, like Mr. Valet. You know, he's not only a founding father of our modern ufology and how we research, he's also, to me, he's like he's not in ufology. We wish he was in ufology. We want his opinion more in ufology. We hang on every snidbit that he does. So why would we ignore an experiencer story like Witness to Another World? Why would we ignore his vast amount of intelligence to this phenomenon that he brings to our community? Why do we ignore what he has to say in and out of ufology? That bothers me. If you want to bring the science, then, or only want to stand on it, you have to admit that the science is lacking. This even goes back, in my point of view, to what Hal Puthoff has worked on with, you know, remote viewing and trying to be able to do repeatable tests with people like Ingo Swann, and maybe I'm confusing my super psychics or my remote viewers, but the case in point, the phenomenon and how people experience it through their contact modalities the science is often not repeatable to our standard of science. But we need to open that box and realize that that's what science is all about. We have to figure out where it's lacking and how we can close those gaps. And there are people in this field that are trying to do that, and we owe them our respect. And we need to get over the uncomfortable things that their research and science discovers because it doesn't fit into what we know or what we've listened to about the phenomenon, especially from just a military point of view. That's where you get lost in the threat factor and the fear and people that don't know the bigger picture. That's when the propaganda threat can take over. That's when the ultra conspiracy comes into play. And
okay, so let me ask you this, Nicole. Let me ask you this. The field of ufology, over the last couple of decades, we've all heard people talk, look, we can't trust government agents. We can't trust spooks. We can't trust people who've worked for alphabet agencies who now have apparently had this awakening moment that they want to take good care of the UFO community and bring disclosure to light. And for years, we heard researchers talking about this, that we have to find it on our own. We have to be there. We have to be the ones working this because they're not going to bring it. And yet here we are, bending over and bowing to a bunch of people who all have worked for the United States government, who have all worked for agencies, who have all, many of them, been spies, okay, or ran covert operations. And here we are putting our faith that they now want to be great citizens of this planet and do what is best for the public. By the way, it's a threat, and, you know, you have to take our word for it because we don't know what they are. Like, is that not the biggest piece of irony in the UFO field right now when it comes to anything disclosure?
I think it's a shame that the people that are calling these things out aren't walking the walk a little more, like yourself a little bit with your letter that you wrote or your emails that you're continuing to send to members of the Canadian government. You know, I think if people have a problem with how the disclosure narrative is going, it's like I said earlier, you know, join the narrative, try to change it. If you don't think it's a threat, talk about how it's not a threat. You know, back it up with the books you've read and the researchers you've talked to and the experiencers that we know are out there. You know, who are the names we like to throw around in experiencer talk these days that we all have respect for? You know, right now, immediately, I keep thinking of Chris Bledsoe.
Yes.
Is he saying this? Is he saying this is a threat? Is he saying his experiencer anthology is threatening? You know, think of other caliber witnesses that I respect. I think of Jim Peniston. I respect his testimony and his experience. I think he tells the truth. And yes, I think he confesses that there are military aspects to this phenomenon that, of course, are threatening. But he's not running around saying my code within the code is evil and it's leading me down this, you know, path of human destruction. And, you know, I listen to players like that. If we're supposed to have a 360 encompassing point of view for people in our community that we, you know, think are telling us the truth, that come at us from a not entertainment side, you know, UFO-tainment is often thrown around in our communities. Well, you know, the time is to stand behind your experiencers, you know. We know that the phenomenon evolves. Looking over the last 70 years, if you don't recognize that, you're not doing enough research. Just with UFO sightings alone, we know that that has changed and evolved. Yes, there are still some characteristics that are the same. You know, look at the evolution of the types of craft people see. But then what's kind of a constant through it all? The balls of light. You know, I mean, there's still, you know, there's an evolution to this community, and we're all at a different level on it, especially the people in the general population. They don't even know what ring of ufology they're on yet, but now they're in a worldwide forum discussing this. It's worldwide. If it's in the United States news, it's a worldwide topic. It is on CNN. It is on Fox. Everybody's losing their minds, calling ufologists, going, "What did I just see?"
No, but I think you know, getting back to the fact that we're now taking the words of so many people who, at one point or another, did not have the best interest in the public at heart for this subject. They have been brought to keeping secrets. Okay, that was their job. They were brought forward for disinformation, for denial. Okay, and look, I'm a big fan of Lou Elizondo. Here's a prime example of Luis Elizondo. Okay, this is a gentleman who blatantly stated that when he left the program, okay, or pardon me, he stated when he came out that he ran the program until 2012, but then stated that he had just left his job a few days previous looking into UFOs for the U.S. government. And nobody questioned him on that. And then we find out that the program really hasn't ended. It's continued on. And then there was denial over that. And then we're now hearing, the program continues. Thank you, New York Times and other media outlets for reporting this. But yes, the program continues. And, don't ask us about anything else because we're just going to deny it anyway. So that's what I'm saying. Like, here we are, and we're supposed to take these good, honest handshakes from these ex-spooks saying that, we didn't know about this stuff. We didn't know about UFOs. There's stuff I can't talk about. I can't talk about this because my top secret clearance. I can't talk about that because I signed a non-disclosure agreement with the United States government. But trust me, I have your best interests at heart. This drives me nuts.
It does. It drives me nuts too. And these are also the landmines we try to avoid having in the Twitterverse or in social media, because we know it just ends up being a back and forth of opinions. And that's where, like I said on Grant's panel discussion the other night, that's where it's like, you got to leave the politics at the door on this. You have to leave the opinions at the door on this. Whether you feel this way or that way about the topic, the time is now. It's in the papers. It's in legislation. It's in the community conversation and the public at large. It's our job now, if we call ourselves researchers and ufologists, it's our job right now to be educating everybody on the history of this. I honestly wish, and here I'll do another shameless plug for a pal of mine, I honestly wish at this point in time, with the climate of ufology, I could say, just watch James Fox's The Phenomenon, and you are going to be caught up to speed on what the UFO community is trying to diligently express about what's been going on since 1947. I wish I could say that. We have to wait for James Fox and his struggles with his film right now. It will make it out. People have seen it. People know who contributed to it. It's wonderful. And that ties into the other film that I'm so interested in right now, and I don't understand why more people aren't talking about it, other than maybe it's subtitled, and that's Witness to Another World. We have two perfect documentaries in our community right now that the general public need to see. And it ties in with our education process, or our re-education on what we need to do to keep moving the needle forward. We can't wait for the New York Times to do it all themselves. They're just, right now it's just two people and their team there. It's up to us to keep doing our part and our jobs and pushing these conversations and making sure this doesn't turn into a Condon report situation. All spotlights on that. We know how that played out. We know Condon was a con man and set up that panel and disregarded information. People's research and diligence into this and shining spotlights on this hopefully won't let it repeat.
I understand that. No, and I understand that. We got about 30 seconds to go here. In the end, it's the public that hurts. And that's all that matters, Nicole. It's the public. Are they having the wool pulled over their eyes right in front of them right now, in your opinion? 30 seconds or less.
Yes. To the nature of the true phenomenon, to that true nature, not just there's something invading our space.
All right. Leave it right there, because we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We have Nicole Sakach for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio as we're about to head off for break. And then hour number 3, Nicole will, you know what, let's get into some aliens. We haven't got into any aliens yet with Nicole. And, she likes a good alien talk. She likes a good romance with aliens. We'll go down that road. Yeah, we will. All right. Nicole Sakach. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, we'll bring you the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio coming up right around the corner.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the story you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio kicks off right now. I am your host, Dave Scott. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning on in wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. We got people listening in right now from Portugal, Australia, South Africa, the United Kingdom, Canada, United States, New Zealand, all over the place right now. So thank you so much for making this worldwide. We really do appreciate that. And of course, everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Musivorous. Musivorous is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce Nicole Sakach. She is a UFO experiencer, ET experiencer. She's a researcher, and she's also a research assistant for the legendary Grant Cameron. And we've been talking UFOs all night long tonight, and it's been a great show so far. So if you've just tuned in, you're definitely going to want to listen to this one on the archives. Nicole, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. Glad to be back.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get into some aliens here, because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of factions out there who don't want to talk aliens, yet here we are. We have thousands upon thousands of people in North America alone who claim to have had some sort of extraterrestrial contact. Are we shooting down the fact that we aren't talking aliens yet? Or is it because you feel that we're not ready as a human species for this?
I think we've been talking aliens all along. We just use different lingo and different terms and describe the phenomenon differently. That's what I think. So there is a school of thought that, yes, you have to call it as it is. Just because we're saying unidentified flying object or unidentified aerial phenomenon, yes, we have to bite our tongue to a certain extent and say, yes, that does not mean extraterrestrial biological entity. It does not mean ET, phone home necessarily, but that's also we bite our tongues because it's that in the community, in the general population, what you talk about, how you talk about it. It's like, I kind of love the minute somebody brings up gray aliens, I love bringing up the future human theories. And it's like, okay, well, what if it's not this dude, that's packed a ship full of, cows to eat and, coming to hang out and just, probe people and, give them a tune-up or a hard time or whatever that scenario is. It's beyond that. And, when you talk about cases where you're obviously talking about a future human scenario or an internalized experience of, is this they, them, the ethereal, the spiritual, a higher self? Is it me? Are we all one? Is it one? You traverse into this experiencer realm where, like I pointed out earlier, physical mediumship and the paranormal experiences and talking the abductee talk, and then hearing things in the community like there's no abductions ever. Okay, well, is that coming from this is a consciousness experience and it's like abduction is the wrong word? Or is this coming from a perspective where it's like, no, there's not abductions because it's all mill lab, government experiment, conspiracy, horrifying, scary crap that you don't want to think about. I think it's both,
Are we in denial? Are we in denial of the extraterrestrial experience for the most part?
I don't think we're in denial of it. I don't think we recognize the wide net that is the phenomenon. And I say that based on my own experience with the phenomenon. For so long, I looked at it as just a sighting experience. And it wasn't until I branched out of chasing down other sightings and the nuts and bolts side of, is this phenomenon physical? Because that evidence stacks up rather quickly in my point of view. Yes, there's something physical happening to people here. But then I didn't realize the other paranormal activity in my life. It wasn't just, seeing a light in the sky. As you dive into this experiencer way of dealing with what you encountered, you take a step back. And this is that reference that I'm kind of hot on right now, is closing the loop. Experiencers close their own loop if they're not afraid of what they're experiencing. And to realize that I didn't just have a sighting, that superstitious things I've blown off my entire life, that I went to people that I trusted. I had some paranormal experiences and experiences with the phenomenon that I now know started when I was 3 years old, if not younger. And I went through phases in my life of trying to figure that out with adult figures and, like my parents or trusted family members or even my Catholic priest, and it gives you an insight into this realm, and something just clicked. It's like all of a sudden it's like, well, holy crap. It was a Jacques Vallée moment. It's like, whoa. Here I thought Hynek had all the answers. Nope, his buddy, the Frenchman, opens up a whole new reality, much like my new buddy Grant. His type of research opens up a whole new reality into ufology for me. It did. Coupled with what I have tried to chase down through my own experience. I joined a group fairly quickly, and it was like UFOs and the paranormal. It's like, well, why is it and why are we smashing these groups together? And then it just all starts making sense. It's like, oh, well, yeah, it is a paranormal experience when you're talking about a ghost encounter or a spirit encounter or if you want to put a Christian perspective on it, a coming to Jesus moment, or, a moment where you interacted with the Holy Spirit. It's like you look at the phenomenon and what people describe, and then the synchronicities start. You're like, holy cow, it's not just a light in the sky that made me jump into ufology and try to find the crafts, the crashes, the crafts, the other stories of what people saw that is so close to what you witness yourself. You know, then you realize the statements of Jacques Vallée, like, I think we're dealing with something that's more than just ET. It's this realm of paranormal, of dreams, of remote viewing, of contact modalities. I haven't even read Grant Cameron's book, Contact Modalities, but we discuss the different variations of contact modalities all the time. It's like, thank God Grant put it in a book. Shame on me that I haven't read it yet, just like everybody else needs to read it.
No, and I understand that, but for going back to our last half hour where we were discussing the fact that all of these alphabet agencies and all of these spooks that are out there now claiming to have the best interests of ufology for people and the public, all right, they don't mention aliens. They don't mention ET contact. They don't mention anything of the sort. They have dissected this topic right down the middle. And like I always say to people, whether they're scientists like Science Bob or whether they are just people like anybody listening to this show, if you've never had an experience, it's never aliens. Once you've had an experience, it doesn't matter what the topic is. It's always aliens. You would understand that because you've had both. Okay, and even though you've tried to keep a very firm line down the middle, it's always aliens. That's just the way it is.
Well, I don't say that it's always aliens, though. I don't say that. I think what my experiences and research has led me to believe and stand behind is that this phenomenon may come in different shapes and forms, but it's all coming from the same place. It's beyond an actual being or entity or yourself. It is yourself on a higher level. It's beyond it's them and they and us. And I think that's why the lingo is carefully chosen by people that talk about this. We all take note of, and it's kind of a tell of people's way of thinking on the phenomenon. Do they call them the watchers? Do they call them the invisibles? Do they refer to them as them or the guides or my guides or my higher self? Little cliches in how people speak can say a lot of what they're actually thinking besides just what they're saying. So I don't know. And I guess I'll back that up with, I kind of follow, if people call them the watchers, I think they kind of have a religious background with how they're looking at this phenomenon. The watchers have biblical reference to them, and not just biblical, I should say, but spiritual text reference to them across the board. Why ignore that? There are people that refer to them as the invisibles. Well, that's because they've never seen an actual entity that speaks to them. But there are even those that, know there are groups of beings or different types of contact, and they know that it changes. What it started out looking like has changed into something else, appears to you differently, might seem like ethereal or a spirit or something else described across mythology and or spirituality. That's the beauty of ufology for me. It's not just this science-based, let's figure it out. It's this mutation of science and spirituality, and sprinkle in a little politics, and of course it's an explosive powder keg of belief systems and nonsense that once you run with enough experiencers walking in this, you realize that we're all fighting the same battle. We're all just a piece to the puzzle. We're all working towards the same goal. We all have our parts to play. We all have our lessons to learn. All you got to do is do it.
Well, that's the tough part.
Do it.
That's the tough part right there is understanding and having that understanding of the fact that there are a lot of people out here in this planet, even listening to this show, who have claimed to have ET contact. Hell, I claim I have had ET contact. I have no problem admitting that. I'm one of the weirdos, and I'm okay with that. But there's an entire faction of the population of the UFO field that doesn't want to talk aliens.
Why not? I guess I must not talk to enough of those people anymore that only talk about the hard physical nuts and bolts, want to do the field work and try to get a radiation reading, or even, in the paranormal side, they only want to focus on the digital voice recorders, it's not any one area. And once, I don't know, I never bought into the spirituality that I was raised in. I was a bad Catholic. I fought my Catholicism my whole juvenile life, and that caused me to explore other realms of faith and spirituality. It's not that I denied the lessons that could be derived from people of faith, but it's also not fair. I mean, there's so much that's left lacking but you recognize the phenomenon, and when you can approach people who come from a Christian background, and if they can't understand the idea of aliens, but then you can relate to them an experience from the Bible, like the burning bush and Moses. Like, who's to say, and we argue this a lot, and I think this kind of ufology is safe because it lies in ancient theories. But yes, you can parallel and say Moses's experience, or any experience, even post-Moses, with the Holy Spirit. You can't deny that it has elements of ufology in it, and what experiencers talk about and what they go through as they close their loop. And I don't know. I know there's talks of cults in ufology, or people that follow this like it is a cult. And we've seen the rise of Scientology and how it's muddied ufology and ways of thinking, or these factions that spring up around ultra woo. But the bigger, broader net of that is, yes, we are all discussing the same thing. I've been, I don't like to say arguing, but I've been in a battle of the wits with Joe Merja, this is a few weeks old and talking, but, he talks demons. And there are people in the government that also talk demons. And I think this comes from a Christian perspective on how they're trying to apply that to a scary scenario with the phenomenon. And I don't think that reflects the full body of what the phenomenon is. You can't even call something demonic from just a Christian perspective. Look at the Greek derivative of the word, and you know that it's not even Christian. So it's things like that. It all links into history and how you want to apply the phenomenon to it, what we're talking about. You know, you host the show, you talk about fairies and Bigfoot and Dogman and Sasquatch and Carl and the others all the time.
Well, and that's exactly it. We got about 3 minutes to go here with you tonight, Nicole. And if you had any advice for people who want to try and bridge that gap, all right, try and bridge that gap between extraterrestrials and UFOs, how would you do it?
To bridge the gap between what we physically see in the sky and if there's what the intelligence is behind it. That gap, yes. That's the contact modalities. I think the bridge to that gap is the plethora of ways that you can experience the phenomenon. It's not just limited to craft in the sky. The net is bigger than that. Don't sell it short. The craft in the sky is important. I don't think it's random like nuts and bolts thinks it is. You know, like, oh, they're here, oh, they're there. It's Grant's theory of wow, you know, at play. And I think that's a very basic way of even describing it, you know. I think experiencers laugh and say, well, you already know it's more than a sighting. You know, if you had a sighting, if you've really dug into this, you know your sighting is more than a sighting. It might be random as to when it happened and why at that moment in your vast timelessness, but it's never just, oh, I looked at this light in the sky, unless that's where you want to leave it. If you want to leave it as a light in the sky, then leave it there and play catch up with the rest of the world.
All right. So where do you see, as we got about a minute left, where do you see this going in the next 3 to 6 months? Are we moving closer towards disclosure?
I think the next 3 to 6 months is critical. I think it's time for us to, you know, make sure we cash in the chips with what is said is happening. You know, if Rubio's inquest has 180 days, you know, if we're not seeing some action by February, you know, if reports aren't coming out, then, you know, we have to go back to the lineup and we have to start swinging bats and getting ready, you know, to push this issue more. We can't let it just go silently into the night. We still have to do our jobs.
And that's probably a good place to leave it. Nicole Sakach, thank you so much for coming in on short notice and filling in for an ailing Samantha Mowat tonight. You were absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love having you on, and we are going to do this again.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Dave. I will always say yes to the opportunity to hang out and chat with you, last minute or planned.
I love it. I love it. Nicole, thank you so much. Nicole Sakach, research assistant for Grant Cameron. Yeah, just follow Grant Cameron. You'll find Nicole, part of the brain ship behind the legend of Grant. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio coming up.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. We want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. On Twitter, follow us at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram, follow us at Spaced Out Radio Show. Oh yeah, it is time. Yes, Captain Shirk has us all up to date tonight. Here we go. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the admittingly. Is that even a word, admittingly? Well, if it isn't, let's make it one. Joe Rogan earlier this week had famed rapper Post Malone on his famous podcast. And you know what they got into? UFOs. And Post Malone says he's seen UFOs multiple times. He goes on to say, I was probably 16. I was in upstate New York. My aunt and uncle were very strict, and we had to go to bed at a very strict deadline, probably 10 p.m. I was looking out the window with my cousin, and it was just a light that just stays there, and then it just goes off. I mean, it was just whoosh. You can't explain it. And, you know, even though Rogan went in and expressed skepticism, questioning how strong Post's memory was to the event, the rapper went on to say that he's seen stuff in Utah where he lives, as well as L.A. He's like, when I lived in Tarzana, California, I looked up and saw a classic force field. It was like a dome in a circular shape. I'm like, how did no one else see this? But I was there for like four other people, and they saw it too. Now, his interview comes just 3 months after the Pentagon released its own footage of the UAPs. And of course, recently, Joe Rogan had both George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell on talking about Bob Lazar. He's a big fan of this UFO topic. In short, exciting times for alien watchers, but imagine what an exciting time the past few years has been for the aliens who have gotten to interact, albeit briefly, with the perfect human specimen, a talented musician with fun tattoos, great style, and an open mind. Really? Really? We got to kiss butt like that to Post Malone? I'm not a fan of face tattoos, by the way. Not a fan. The biggest, most sophisticated Mars rover ever built, a car-sized vehicle bristling with cameras, microphones, drills, and lasers, blasted off for Mars as part of an ambitious long-range project to bring the first Martian rock samples back to Earth to be analyzed for evidence of ancient life. NASA's Perseverance rode a mighty Atlas V rocket into a clear morning sky in the world's third and final Mars launch of the summer. China and the United Arab Emirates got a head start last week, but all three missions should reach their destination in February after a journey of millions of kilometers. Yes, NASA science chief Thomas Zurbuchen pronounced the launch the start of humanity's first round trip to another planet. Oh, I loved it. Punching a hole in the sky, right? Getting off the cosmic shore of our Earth, wading out there into the cosmic ocean, he said. Every time it gets me. It is exciting. If you don't like watching rockets launch into space and you don't feel like a kid when that happens, I don't know. It's just weird. It's just absolutely weird. All right. In addition to potentially answering one of the most profound questions of science, religion, and philosophy, is there or has there been ever life beyond Earth, the mission will yield lessons that could pave the way for the arrival of astronauts as early as in the 2030s. There's a reason we call the robot Perseverance, because going to Mars is hard, NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine said just before liftoff. In this case, it's harder than ever before because we're doing it in the midst of a pandemic. Shortly after liftoff, Perseverance unexpectedly went into safe mode, a sort of protective hibernation after a temperature reading triggered an alarm, but Deputy Project Manager Matt Wallace later stated that the spacecraft appeared to be in good shape with its temperatures back within proper limits, and the NASA will probably switch it back to its normal cruise state within a day or so. Everything is pointing towards a healthy spacecraft ready to go to Mars, and do its mission, he said. NASA's deep space tracking stations also had some difficulty locking onto signals from Perseverance early in the flight, but eventually established a solid communication link. The U.S., the only country to safely put a spacecraft on Mars, is seeking its 9th successful landing on the planet, which has proved to be the Bermuda Triangle of space exploration, with more than half of the world's missions there burning up, crashing, or otherwise ending in failure. China is sending both a rover and an orbiter. The United Arab Emirates, a newcomer to outer space, has an orbiter en route. It's the biggest stampede to Mars in spacefaring history. The opportunity to fly between Earth and Mars comes around only once every 26 months when the planets are on the same side of the sun and about as close as they can get. The launch went off at 7:50 a.m. despite a magnitude 4.2 earthquake 20 minutes before liftoff that shook NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California, which is overseeing the rover. Oh, that's kind of scary. All right, documents gained under the Freedom of Information Act show how a number of small drones flew around a restricted area at Palo Verde nuclear power plant on 2 successive nights last September. Security forces watched but were apparently helpless to act as the drones carried out their incursions before disappearing into the night. Details of the event gives some clues as to just what they were doing, but who sent them remains a mystery. Details of the events were obtained from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission by Douglas D. Johnson on behalf of the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, otherwise known as the SCU, using the Freedom of Information Act. The SCU's main interest is in anomalous aerospace phenomena, what other people term UFOs. In this case, though, the flying objects were easily identifiable as drones, although their exact mission and origin are unknown. Johnson passed the information to the War Zone, who gave a detailed account. Palo Verde Nuclear Power Plant is the largest in the U.S., producing over 3 gigawatts, 35% of Arizona's total power capacity. It supplies electricity to Phoenix and Tucson, as well as San Diego and Los Angeles. It is a critical piece of strategic infrastructure. During the 2003 Iraqi War, National Guard troops were deployed to Palo Verde to defend against a possible terrorist threat. In normal times, as well as with other nuclear installations, it is protected by armed security guards. The armed guards, gates, fences, and barriers were useless on the night of September 29th. According to an official report, officers noticed several drones, 5 or 6, flying over the site. The drones are circling in 3 unit sites inside and out the protected area. The drones have flashed red and white lights and are estimated to be about 200 to 300 feet above the site. It was reported the drones had spotlights on while approaching the site that they turned off when they entered the security owner-controlled area. Drones were first noticed in the evening and are still over the site as of 21:47. This is a replay of the notes. Security posture was normal, which was changed to elevated when the drones were noticed. The drones departed at 22:30, 8 minutes after they were first spotted. The security officers estimated that they were over 2 feet in diameter. This indicates that they were simply not consumer drones like the popular DJI Phantom, which have a flight endurance of about half an hour and is about a foot across, but something larger and more capable. The Lockheed Martin Indigo, a military-grade quadcopter, recently sold to the Swiss Army, has a flight endurance of 70 minutes and is more than 2 feet across. At several $1,000s a piece minimum, these are far less expendable than the consumer drones costing a few hundred, all of which suggests this was not a prank. Remember growing up watching cartoons where you would see Bugs Bunny bend Elmer Fudd's rifle right around the barrel, and then Elmer would fire, and the bullet would shoot at him? Well, don't try this at home, because experimenters at YouTube's Demolition Ranch found out that if you were strong enough to bend the barrel of a rifle back on itself, the bullet will actually follow the curved path. Years ago, Mythbusters confirmed that if you bend a barrel 90 degrees instead of exploding and turning the tube into a bouquet of shredded metal, the bullet would actually follow the curve and exit the barrel as it normally would, albeit with a little less oomph. For Demolition Ranch's latest firearms experiment goes one step beyond and actually bent the barrel almost 180 degrees backwards so that it points at someone unfortunate enough to be holding the weapon. Instead of going full Elmer Fudd, however, they built a remote rig to safely test what would happen. The two most logical outcomes of the experiment were it explodes in the barrel chamber and shrapnel everywhere, or it actually follows the barrel's path. So, guess what happened? Yeah, the bullet followed the barrel's path, and if there was an actual person pulling the trigger, well, that person would probably be missing an ear, an eye, maybe half a side of head, So could a maneuver like this actually save your life if you're ever able to be staring down a barrel of a rifle? No, because bending a barrel by hand would require Superman type of strength, and even would probably leave a dangerous crimp or pinch in the barrel that would result in a nastier outcome than demonstrated in this experiment. For this one, the rifle's barrel was heated and then carefully bent to a specific diameter that ensured the tube structure remained intact so that the bullet could potentially still traverse in it. In reality, the first time Bugs Bunny tried something like this, both he and Elmer Fudd would have found themselves both in the emergency room. An Uber Eats customer was left outraged after he caught his delivery driver on security camera eating his order of chicken wings before he got to the door. Richard Jackson, who lives in Chicago, was looking forward to enjoying 15 boneless wings from Buffalo Wild Wings. But when he spotted sauce smeared all over the bag, he realized the driver had already tucked in. Then he looked at surveillance footage, and his suspicions were confirmed. Jackson confronted the driver, who admitted what he had done, but said unapologetically, I was hungry. He was walking along the grass, and then the camera happened to pick him up. I gestured towards my camera, Jackson says. He was clearly caught digging into my food. This is terrible. He was digging into the bag, sort of chucking the boneless wings, repeatedly popping them in his mouth. This is when I see the sauce smeared all over the bag. It's missing several pieces of the chicken. The video appears to show the driver reaching into the bag almost immediately after getting out of the car. Footage from one of Jackson's several cameras around his property showed him refusing to accept the order after inspection. I did challenge him on why he was eating my food, Jackson stated. He eventually admitted to eating it. He said, I was hungry. The driver was not the same one originally assigned to the order. Jackson got a refund for the meal, but he's not happy with the restaurant for not putting a tamper-proof seal on. Oh, here we go with tamper-proof seals now. It's concerning that he was not so nonchalant, especially during a pandemic where we might have a highly transmissible disease. Well, that part's true. Yeah, Uber stated that it looked into the incident immediately and the driver has been removed from the platform. They said as part of the contactless delivery service, they provided CDC guidance to restaurant partners and delivery people to ensure all orders are properly sealed in tamper-evident packaging. The company also said that food prep areas are separated from any locations where delivery people wait for orders. A large number of businesses have been relying on food delivery orders amid the pandemic. According to Uber, 82% of restaurant operators say Uber Eats has been crucial to business during COVID-19, and 75% of operators said that they would have to close their business if not for Uber Eats. Here's a cool story. A pair of Nebraska sisters who hadn't seen each other in more than 50 years were reunited when one ended up as the other's medication aide while they were recovering from COVID-19. Bev Borrow, a medication aide at Dunklau Gardens in Fremont, said she was looking over her patient list when she quickly recognized the name of Doris Crippen, 73 years old, the sister she had been trying to locate for years. Crippen had been hospitalized at Nebraska Medicine for more than a month while recovering from COVID-19 and a broken arm sustained in a fall resulting from the illness. Borrow said that she used a whiteboard to communicate with Crippen, who is hard of hearing, and they quickly confirmed that they shared the same father, Wendell Huffman. Crippen and Borrow, who have different mothers, were raised in separate homes, and Borrow had ended up in the foster care system when she was less than 6 months old before eventually being adopted. Crippen, who is the first of Huffman's 10 children with 3 different mothers, and Borrow was the youngest. The woman said that they had been searching for one another for years and knew each other's names, but were never able to find contact information. Crippen says she now considers her brush with coronavirus to be a blessing. I am the happiest person in the world, Crippen stated. I cannot believe I finally found my sister. How awesome is that? All right, let's move on here. The New Zealand wing of pizza chain Domino's has backtracked on a promotion offering free pizzas to customers named Karen that aren't, well, Karens. The New Zealand promotion, an identical offer in Australia, offered free pizza to women named Karen who don't conform to the stereotypes of Karen, a term that has gained prominence online as a pejorative for white women who act entitled and insensitive in public, often in the context of racism or refusal to wear a mask to protect from COVID-19. Isn't that a racial comment right there? Seriously, everybody could be a Karen or a Ken, one of the two. You never want to be a two-hard Gary, though. They're dangerous. The promotion called on customers named Karen to fill out an application, and 100 entries would be selected for free pizza. Domino's New Zealand canceled the promotion, though, after a sharp online backlash that called on the chain to instead offer free pizzas to racial minorities or people who have been economically impacted by the virus. We wanted to bring a smile to customers' faces and are doing the right thing. Karen the nurse, Karen the teacher, Karen the mom, the chain said. The Post, which apologized for the promotion, said people interpreted this in a different way than we intended. We appreciate how this happened and have listened to the public, and removed the post. The Australian version of the promotion remained active. At Domino's, we know there's plenty of Australians named Karen that aren't, well, Karens, and we want to send some free pizza their way, they said. So, who knows? Anyways. Finally, it's been a while since we had a good Florida man story. Oh, and this is a beauty. Shirky Poo did her best here. A Southwest Florida man is accused of wandering around a hotel naked and identifying himself as Batman. 49-year-old Christopher Jackson was arrested and charged with loitering and exposure of sexual organs. Yeah, according to Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. The Charlotte County Sheriff's Office responded to a call at the Suncoast Inn in Inglewood this past weekend after the motel's manager reported a naked man trying to enter his room. Deputies found Jackson at a table outside the motel. The television station reported Jackson claimed to have had a room at the motel and had accidentally locked himself out of the room, but the manager said Jackson was not registered there. I made multiple attempts to attain his name and date of birth, which he replied, I'm Batman. The deputy who did the filing decided to seek out the motel's surveillance footage. Video footage saw Jackson climbing through the guardrail that lines the building. Jackson then went to the 3rd floor and stripped off all his clothing, then began going door to door in an attempt to gain entry to rooms. The deputy found Jackson's clothes and discovered a glass pipe. Oh, here we go. We knew this had to be a meth thing. Total meth thing. Officials later learned Jackson had a warrant out for his arrest for larceny. He remains in county jail on $1,000 bail. Oh, yeah. Thank goodness for Florida, man. You knew. You just knew that there was some sort of meth involved there. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What would you say to an alien if it was standing right in front of you? Have you thought about that? Kevin, I'm done with 2020. Get me out of here. Nothing you could show me could ever shock me. I live with humans. Trust me, they are crazy. And what should I pack? What time do we leave? Thanks, buddy. What time do we leave? Oh, that's awesome. Spookles the cat. Oh, my God. This is going on Facebook. Smile. 1. Where's the saucer? Can I take a ride? What did you really do to Whitley? Is it okay if I don't bend over and pick up the soap when you're standing behind me? Quantes. In a whispering tone with deep compassion, I would simply say, hide. You're too different. Graham. offer some tea or coffee. Not alone. You are supposed to ask permission to be in this realm. Mark, let's go for a ride. Nicole, where are you from? Lisa, please help us. Quinoa, I knew I wasn't dreaming this entire time. Julien, would not say nothing. It will be inside my mind, inside a time-lapse dimension. Miss Capaldi, take me home. They're here. Are you bleeping kidding me? Jules, welcome. Patty, hi. Can I go for a ride in your spaceship? Cherry, I'm really digging your vibe. All right. Graham, hello. JP, well, he posted a picture. Spike, 6 feet, mother bleeper. Sharpesta, all right, fella, fancy a spliff? David, where's your mask? Oh, that's funny. Where's your mask? All right. And Chris, he says he would go all Chrisomania because he's already had it happen to him. Been there, done that. Pillars, I'd introduce you to Mick West after that, Neil Tyson, Bill Nye, Seth Stoshak, and Michael Shermer, and Sarah Scholes. And then they can write a new book about how this experience, while Susan Goff can introduce the rest of her friends to you. Oh, the skepticism there. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Day. We will do it all again tomorrow night because we have a lot of fun here. We like to do this show nightly. Big thanks to Captain Shirk for getting on the SOR Newswire and making it a lot of fun. And to Nicole Sakach for filling in for Samantha Mowat, who is ailing tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Special thanks to everybody in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, Spreaker, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, and to all the snarkers and snarkettes snarking away at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. The Woo train may have docked for the night, but tomorrow we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, there's room for them too. Have a great night. Good night.